Hey, what's going on, guys? Coach Jacob here. Today we're going to begin to dive into each of our 6 foundational principles one at a time. And we're going to kind of dive into them a little bit deeper than I covered in my first video. First video is titled 6 Foundational Principles, where I kind of talked about each of the 6 and kind of gave a broad overview of all of them. And just kind of talked about balancing our anabolic and our catabolic forces through management of these 6 foundational principles, right? Balancing those 2 forces, anabolic and catabolic, is what keeps our bodies vital and strong, and again, able to fight off infection, as that is a pressing matter right now, right? So today I wanted to dive into thinking, right? Thinking is one of the more yang principles of the 6. So we have 6 principles. I'll go back over those really quick. So 3 of the yin, or more anabolic in nature, principles are sleeping, eating, and drinking, right? Because in those 3 actions, you're bringing energy into the body. The more yang of the 6 principles are thinking, moving, and breathing, right? Because those things kind of take action and are a little bit more catabolic or yang in nature, right? So we've got the 3 anabolic, the 3 catabolic in nature. I wanted to talk about specifically thinking today as the first one to kind of dive into, just because it seems that is probably the most pressing matter right now, as we are kind of in a bit of uncertainty, right? I'm sure we are all kind of a little uncertain and probably a little bit afraid of what the future holds for us over the next month, 2 months, 3 months. Who knows how long that we could be kind of dealing with the backlash of this COVID-19 breakout. So the reason I'm putting out this education and this information is just so that you can take it upon yourself to live in a way that will keep you vital and strong, right? The best plan, in my opinion, for stopping the breakout of this COVID-19 is for all of us to do the best that we can to remain as healthy as we can, right? So that we are not one of the target people that it's going to affect, right? So I know there are people out there that are that are older, that are of compromised immune systems, and if you're one of those people, absolutely, I understand the fear around the situation, but if we can all work really hard to be healthy and stay vital, then I don't think that I guess what I'm trying to say is that we can combat this just through being the best version of ourselves, right? So so thinking, how your psychology affects your physiology, right? So what I'm kind of directly focusing on is how the thoughts that are going through your head are going to affect your physical body, right? And ultimately your physical body's ability to remain vital and fight off potential infection, right? So it all starts in the brain. So when it comes to thinking, right, we have negative thoughts and we have positive thoughts. And we have all these things bouncing around in our head all the time. It's important to know that the thoughts running through your brain are not what you are, right? Those things don't always come forth through your intention, right? Sometimes they just pop up out of nowhere. What that tells you and what that tells me is that they are not a manifestation of what you are in your essence, but they are something that is present in your awareness, right? So that being said, you can kind of control your thoughts. You can decide which ones to latch onto and which ones to let go, right? That's important foundational layer to start with right there. So oftentimes, especially in a time of uncertainty or fear, we have a lot of negative thoughts, right? Negative thoughts, things bounce in your head like, is this going to affect me? Am I going to lose my job? Am I going to have enough money over the next couple months to support my family, right? Those are worrisome negative thoughts, And the negative thoughts really come when you start thinking to yourself that you cannot do this. You cannot support your family. You will not be able to stay healthy over the next few months, right? Those things jump into your head and they create this, this negative feeling, right? So we call this stinking thinking, and it's focusing your attention on what you do not want, right? So you're funneling your energy into the ideas and the things that you do not want to happen. And you spend all of your time, energy, and attention on those ideas. Stinking thinking, we want to avoid that. We also tend to create hypothetical situations, right? You're sitting there, you're off, you notice you're daydreaming, and you're thinking about something that could happen in the future, right? Something that would be scary or something that you wouldn't want to happen, right? So we're creating these hypothetical situations of things that might happen in the future, and what that does is it just causes more fear and anxiety, right? Negative thoughts, yeah, stinking thinking, attention on what you don't want, creating hypothetical situations, and then fear, buying into fear, right? Oftentimes, fear is false evidence appearing real, right? Now, there is a lot of evidence right now that could be scaring you, but there's a lot of stuff out on media right now that is also just there to kind of pull fear out of you, right? A lot of stuff that's being put on media is not exact fact or even relevant, but it's literally just there to get you to click on the link because we want to know what's happening, right? So it's creating that fear response. So when we have these negative thoughts, we create a feedback loop, right? So we have negative thoughts. Negative thoughts spawn a response from the body, upregulating the sympathetic nervous system, right? Which causes you to feel nervous, anxious. That SNS response creates the anxiety. The anxiety, if you're like me, often creates judgment, right? Why am I feeling anxious? Why am I feeling this way? Why am I letting this get to me? That judgment feeds right back into those negative thoughts, right? You start getting down on yourself for buying into the negativity or for even feeling anxious in the first place, right? And then boom, you're back to negative thoughts. And it just creates this cycle that you can kind of spin out on. And that's kind of how a lot of times the panic attacks are created, right? You start spinning on this cycle of, oh, I'm anxious, I don't feel good, why am I anxious? And you start questioning that. And you judge yourself and you get right back to those negative thoughts and it starts to loop over again, right? So if you're like me, you've experienced this right here. Now, when you start spinning off, right, in that anxiety loop, what happens is there's a cascade of physiological responses that come from that psychological negativity that is spinning off in your brain, right? So the psychology down the chain is affecting the physiology. So what happens, like I said, we upregulate the SNS, the sympathetic nervous system, right? What that does at the same time is it downregulates the parasympathetic nervous system, right? And we kind of talked about this in the first video. The sympathetic nervous system is catabolic in nature. It mobilizes energy. It releases hormones that allow you to kind of bring the heart rate up, cause some adrenaline, and allows you to create that fight or flight response, right? So you're ready to act at any moment. The PNS, the parasympathetic nervous system, is very calming to the body. It releases tissue-building hormones, so you can rebuild, and it focuses on digestion, elimination, things like that, things that your body needs to handle throughout the day just to stay healthy, right? So when your SNS is upregulated, your body puts all of these things, right, tissue-building, digestion, elimination, puts those things on the back burner because right now, the most pressing matter, right, is your survival. Is fighting or running for your life, right? So in the past, thousands of years ago, our SNS was really only stimulated when we ran into a life or death situation, right? If you say you're hunting and you come across an animal that wants to eat you, you're either going to fight or you're going to run, right? you have that response so that you can act effectively, but when the situation is over, SNS is downregulated, PNS comes back online, and then you're back to homeostasis, right? But nowadays, in our everyday life, we run into this SNS upregulation multiple times a day, whether it's stress at work, stress at home, traffic, or, right, it's this thing kind of sitting on the back of all of our brains right now, this whole COVID-19 situation that is just causing a low-level anxiety throughout your entire day, right? So, psychological responses, SNS is upregulated. We release cortisol and adrenaline, right? Again, to create that fight or flight response. Cortisol is kind of a tissue breakdown hormone. Adrenaline is there to give you that spurt of energy. We mobilize energy stores, right? So we can act. Heart rate goes up. You maybe start sweating. Your mouth gets dry. Those are symptoms, I guess, of your SNS being upregulated, right? So when this happens, again, the parasympathetic nervous system is downregulated. It puts those things on the back burner. So you are no longer repairing your body. You're no longer digesting your food and bringing in energy, right? And you're no longer optimizing your immune function. So this happening once every few days, or maybe once a day during your intense workout, and then coming right back down is not an issue. But if you wake up, you go right to the coffee, you get right to work, and then you're stressed out at work, you have meetings all day, you have to leave work and go pick up your kids, right? You have these small spurts of SNS upregulation throughout the day, right? They kind of keep you elevated. Along with that, we've got the COVID-19 situation, which is kind of keeping this low-level anxiety throughout your entire day. So what happens is when we have too much SNS upregulation, it puts these things on the back burner for days at a time, right? And eventually you start getting adrenal fatigue, you start getting chronic fatigue. Your body can no longer sustain itself, its energy, and its immune function, right? That is when you are most likely and most vulnerable to getting sick, right? To getting an injury, things like that. So negative thoughts create a feedback loop, right? And that feedback loop causes this physiological response that weakens our immune systems and weakens our body over time, right? So those are the things that we want to avoid. And again, that's the steps. That's how your psychology affects your physiology, right? Now, what can we do about it? What are some action steps? I put together some action steps. Number one, for you to work on your psychology, and number two, to work on your physiology, because this goes both ways, right? Your psychology affects your physiology, but there are things you can do to affect your physiology that will in turn calm down your psychology and let you be a little bit more relaxed and have a little bit more ease of mind. So, psychology action steps, things we can do. Biggest thing for me, and I think for a lot of people, is to stop consuming fear media. Like I said, there's a lot of things out there that are literally just there to build a fear response. That shock response of like, that's really going on right now, right? Then you get interested, you start watching more, right? It's literally just to build viewership. Is it really critical to your daily life to know exactly how many new cases are in the US of COVID-19, or how many people died yesterday, or how many car accidents there were on the road today? Those things are from a national perspective oftentimes, and when you look around at your immediate environment, you're like, oh, okay, I'm at home, my kids are here, my wife is here, I've got dinner on the table, everything seems okay, right? So if you keep your attention to a little bit more of your immediate surroundings in your community, right, a lot of those fear responses tend to die down. Practice gratitude daily, right? So this is something that me and my fiance try to do at the end of the day or the beginning of the day. We'll just ask each other, hey, what are a few things you're grateful for, right? We kind of hold each other accountable in this way. But just spending time to think about the things that you are lucky for again, just creates that gratitude, creates that sense of well-being, and kind of puts things into perspective, right? Like things could be a lot worse. There are people in the world that are not, they don't have the same support as I do, or a lot of us do, right? Like I've got a roof over my head, I've got food, I've got community, I got friends. So ultimately, wherever this COVID-19 thing goes, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be okay because I've got a community of support, right? So I'm grateful for that. Love people, right? You've got people around you, you've got friends, you've got community, you've got maybe kids or a wife, right? Do something to actively love them, right? So just taking the focus off of yourself for a few minutes will surprise you in how much anxiety goes away, and how much you feel grateful and uplifted for just making someone else smile, right? So do something to actively love someone else, watch them smile, watch them be happy about that, and I promise that'll create a positive response in you. And then the last one here, meditation, right? Meditation, I think the word kind of scares some people. It's really about just sitting down and calming your mind, slowing your heart rate, slowing your breath, and just taking a minute to, again, kind of take a break from these negative thoughts, right? My favorite easy meditation that I think anyone can do, sit down in a chair, get really comfortable, and just try to not move, not flinch, not blink, not move a muscle for as long as you can. Set a timer, right? And then once you move, once you break that, take a look at how long it was. If it was 30 seconds, awesome, go for 45 on the next one, right? And that'll just kind of help you narrow your focus, and it'll help you increase your attention span, it'll down-regulate anxiety and stress, and it kind of helps you be able to decide what you want to focus on. It kind of gives you the power to not be so scatterbrained and let those thoughts be bouncing around your head, but you can kind of decide from there, what thoughts that you want to focus on, because it kind of gives you the power of that attention. So those are 4 things, psychology action steps that you can take to help kind of relax your psychology so that you don't have these negative physiological responses, right? Now, here's 4 things that you can do on the physiological side that will affect your psychology in reverse, right? So, do things that are happy-making for you, right? So many of us are caught up in work and trying to support our kids or our families that we never take time for ourselves, right? If you are an empty bucket, you cannot pour into other people, right? So it's most important that you fill yourself first so you can then go around and kind of pour into others, right? So whatever your interests are, whether it's reading, running, you just like to paint, maybe like to just get quiet with yourself, whatever that is, like block out 30 minutes in your day so that you can take time to do that, right? That will help you feel better and help your psychology a little bit. Potentially less caffeine. This isn't for everyone, but if you know that you're drinking coffee all day long and you're trying to keep yourself stimulated, right, that just feeds in to these catabolic forces, right? Caffeine naturally is a stimulant to the body, so it upregulates the SNS, and it causes a lot of these physiological responses that we covered earlier. Right now, in low doses, it can be therapeutic, it can be very helpful, but doing caffeine all day at a high level can be quite detrimental to the body, and can honestly break down and create weakness so that you're a little bit more vulnerable to infections and things like that, right? Sunlight. Get outside. Get outside, put your feet in the grass, feel the sun on your face. Just kind of connecting back to that feeling of being outside and being in nature is oftentimes very, very therapeutic for people. I think people are often too surprised at how good they feel just finishing a hike, or even just putting their feet in the grass, right? You actually, when you get barefoot outside, you actually dump these negative ions back into the earth. So you kind of complete this circuit in your body, and it allows you to drain these negative ions, which oftentimes cause a little bit of anxiety. So get barefoot in the grass. I love to do it every day. Get some sun on your face. And then lastly, just move, right? Oftentimes exercising and movement creates a flow of happy hormones in our body and just helps us feel a little bit better. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but you've been feeling anxious or trying to solve a problem, and you go work out, and when you finish the workout, the perspective just changes. It doesn't feel so big or so daunting, right? It just kind of changes your mentality and your perspective on the whole situation. So this one is definitely happy making for me. Just moving, exercising, expressing my body. So hopefully you're able to get some movement and some sunlight in, even while we're stuck inside. So overview: psychology affects your physiology, and vice versa, right? Your physiology affects your psychology. So just watch the negative thoughts, watch out for this feedback loop. Just know that those things are the negative thoughts, the feedback loop. Those things are going to cause these physiological responses that over time are going to kind of weaken the body, right? So take the action steps to be proactive, right, in cleaning up your thoughts, cleaning up your physiology, so that you can balance the psychology and physiology so you can stay vital, strong, and healthy, and hopefully bringing that positive energy to the people around you will help kind of mitigate some of their fear and anxiety as well, right? I think it's okay to be in a good mood, to be positive, right? Even when negative things are going on. It's obvious that we all need to be responsible. We all need to understand that there is a serious situation on hand, but it doesn't mean that you have to walk around in your daily life just fearing the end of the world, right? So try to be a light for others, try to spread that positivity, and again, take these action steps, right? As much as you can. Maybe you have more time right now than ever, right? But take those action steps and start kind of implementing those into your daily life, and I promise you will be happy that you did. Thank you guys for watching. Again, my name is Coach Jacob. I'm still doing some like online private training and things like that. So if you want to dive a little bit more into things like this, your lifestyle and how that affects your health, then go ahead and reach out to me. Maybe get you set up with a few private sessions. But again, thinking is one of the 6 foundational principles. My next video will be covering another one of the 5. So I'm going to go through all 6 of them kind of a little bit more in depth like this. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much.